This is one of the messiest review situations I've had in 10 years of reviewing over 160 different airlines. Why, Virgin Atlantic, why? You see, earlier this year, I flew their old business class on their Boeing 787 Dreamliner to London. This was intended to be flight 1 of a 2-flight review, so I could also review their upper class lounge at Heathrow and their newer business class seats. I had booked my second flight for a few months later in June, but that ended up getting cancelled. Not the end of the world, so I booked a new ticket for 2 weeks ago. So can you guess what happened? On the bright side, that flight wasn't cancelled. Instead, I was downgraded from upper class to economy class. The sad part of all this is that my first flight, as you're about to see, was incredibly impressive and led me to believe Virgin Atlantic would soon be crowned my favorite airline in Europe. After what comes next with cancellations and downgrades, I'll leave that up to you to decide. Is this an airline that's worth the major inconveniences, or are they just too messy to be worth seeking out? Now let's go all the way back to February. I know I often say I'm excited to review a flight, but today I'm truly very, very excited because I'm flying an airline I have not flown in almost 8 years. Virgin Atlantic relaunched their seasonal route to Dubai less than a year ago, so it's a treat to get to fly this rather niche route for the airline. Okay, so the fun thing is that although I haven't flown them in so long, Virgin Atlantic has a very special place in my heart because it's one of the first flights I remember taking, or actually the first flight I very vividly remember. It was London to New York JFK on their A350-1000 when I was 8 years old, and that was such an amazing plane because I was flying just with my dad. My dad was in the aisle, I was in the window seat, so since it's a 242 config, we had a whole row to ourselves, and I remember being blown away by having in-flight entertainment in those days. I make it to the main concourse of Terminal 1 and head straight to my gate Delta 2. So literally every single seat and every single cabin is occupied on today's flight, which makes me amazed that I managed to find an award seat. More on how I paid and how I got an amazing price on both my Virgin Atlantic flights at the end of the video, as always. At Delta 2, our gorgeous Virgin Atlantic Dreamliner awaits. I love their livery and I love how they name all their aircraft. Today, mine is called Dream Girl. Funnily enough, Dream Girl is registered Golf Victor Alpha Alpha Hotel. Remove the V and it's GAAAH. This 787-9 is almost 10 years old and flies to destinations all around the world in a 3-class layout. We have a 232 premium economy cabin with 35 seats and a 111 upper class cabin, aka business class, with 31 seats. These seats are retro at this point and are very similar to Virgin Atlantic's groundbreaking products from decades ago. The cabin shares 4 lavatories with premium economy, 2 of which are enormous. This makes for a lavatory ratio of 1 to 16.5. At the back of upper class, you have the bar, which adds so much to Virgin Atlantic's cool vibe, as you'll see on board, but it can be a challenge if you want to sleep in the seats toward the back of the cabin. There's no divider or curtain between the bar and the cabin, but even so, given that this is a daytime flight, I choose row 11 since it's the most private. The seats on the left of the cabin, the A seats, are superior, as you can tell, since they face the back of the middle seats, as opposed to the K window seats on the right side that have to endure awkward eye contact with the middle seats. How awkward is it? Come on board to find out. So what does it feel like when an airline is cooler than you? Fly Virgin Atlantic to find out. That's how I feel when I board, being greeted by the bar set up with drinks for upper class. What an epic welcome compared to boarding straight into a galley. The boarding music sounds like a playlist straight from Pride, the purser is wearing a rainbow lanyard around her neck, and the mood lighting is in full effect. This is a vibe. Virgin Atlantic certainly has that wow factor. I'm almost immediately offered a choice of pre-departure drinks from the adorable crew, more on them later. I'm kind of thrown by this can being at the seat because initially I think it's trash from the previous flight before realizing it's water. Oops. Now for the seat. It has seen better days. Frankly, my seat is filthy. I think it comes down to poor seat design since it's almost impossible to clean tight spaces like this. But Virgin Atlantic's soft product makes up for the lacking hard product on their 787s in my opinion. There are a few more drawbacks of this old seat. It probably has the least storage of any business class seat in the world. I remember last time I flew Virgin Atlantic and ended up losing something quite valuable because I was keeping it next to me on the seat, and at some point during the night when I was sleeping, it fell into the abyss. I can't wait to see what their experience is like on their newer seats, I think to myself, obviously having no idea what's to come. We also have our menu and amenity kit waiting for us. The amenity kit is great, although the papery bag isn't really giving luxury, but the contents are basically everything you could want. Guess what else is great? The menu. I still stand by what I've said for years. If an airline wants to be good, at least in my eyes, they can either focus on luxury or focus on being fun/quirky. Both can make for a great experience if done right. Qatar, Singapore Airlines, Etihad do luxury to name a few. Emirates, Finnair, and AirAsia do fun/quirky. All those airlines are above average, and if I had to choose a category for Virgin Atlantic, I think it's pretty clear they fit into the fun/quirky one. I cannot wait for these two flights, at least that's what I'm thinking at this point before I know everything that's about to go wrong. What a view! I immediately connect to the Wi-Fi after takeoff so I can do my New York Times mini crossword for the day, entertainment at its best. Speaking of entertainment, Virgin's system called VAAH has about 140 movies and 130 shows. I'm glad to see that I share the good taste of Virgin Atlantic's passengers since Curb Your Enthusiasm is their second highest rated TV show. Pretty good. By the way, my monitor is almost falling off its hinges, like my sanity on my next two attempts to fly Virgin. I think the relatively lacking entertainment system is a sign you're supposed to be entertained by the bar instead, either by chatting with other passengers or the crew. I'm all for bringing back the days when people actually used to talk to each other on flights, and hey, my seat is basically a part of the bar, so I don't really have a choice. I start off the flight with kombucha and crisps, as the Brits say. Both are fantastic. I want to fully relax, so I try to recline my seat, but remember that this seat doesn't recline. It's either a bed or fully upright. Now, on to the most important topic I'll be discussing today, Virgin Atlantic's salt and pepper shakers. This airline basically encourages you to take them home. Plus, their table setting is beautiful. Having crew-plated meals served directly on the table is still a rare luxury outside the Middle East, but not here. I've been chatting with the crew and they offer to give me a look at several appetizer options from the menu, which is exciting. For example, this is the salmon appetizer. There's also an arancini appetizer, and I think both look good. I actually tried the arancini before my special meal appetizer, which looks not as nice. For the main course, the crew offered me a look at the salmon, which looks and smells top-notch. Meanwhile, I'm served this pasta dish, which I gladly gobble down. Last but not least, here's a look at the tiramisu and cheese plates from the menu before I get served my plant-based dessert, which shockingly is among the best cake I've had on any airline. It's juicy, it's flavorful, and the portion is massive. Also, the service is as efficient as it gets throughout the meal despite upper class being entirely sold out. Now for the second most important topic in the world, the tray table. You can easily move it to leave your seat even while it's in use, which I love. However, the way the entertainment screen is positioned above the table is just really awkward. It makes it almost impossible to navigate with the table and having things on the table while you're trying to watch things. After the meal, our 5-star crew kindly offered to make my bed, and I go to change into my Emirates pajamas that I brought with me. The crew look horrified and say, "Dan, you know we have pajamas, right? Would you like us to bring you one, love?" Pajamas on a daytime flight under 8 hours? What is this airline? Not only that, there is turn-down service. How cozy does this look? Here's a pro and a con on this unique bed. The pro, you have unlimited space by your feet in bed mode in these herringbone configurations. Now for the con, the bed is sadly pretty uncomfortable even with the mattress pad. I'm not really planning on sleeping, but this makes for such a nice office, sitting here leaning against the cabin wall, feeling awfully opulent with my 2 individual air vents. There's a box of snacks stationed right across the aisle from me, which is a little bit too tempting. I can't resist having some more crisps and some chocolate. As I work, I notice the crew constantly passing through the cabin, checking on passengers, and the purser asks me if I want a bottle of water. What does she bring me? This. I say, no, you don't need to give me such a big bottle of water. Why not? Drink it, it's good for you. Needless to say, I end up running back and forth to the lavatories like I'm running from my responsibilities. But hey, the lavatories are also great. I end up spending a lot less time working than expected and a lot more time chatting to the crew and other passengers. So many people on board seem to be in such a good mood. I ran into Lee and Sarah here who are traveling a lot.
Yes.
Just happen to be on the same flight, which is a pleasure.
Yeah, we do love to travel.
Yeah, we watched you for many years. Honestly, you're amazing. You've made us want to travel a lot more.
Yeah.
The food, the drink, the aeroplanes and everything else. It's
That's
fantastic.
an honor.
I think you're fantastic.
Great to meet you guys.
Videos.
About an hour and a half before landing, it is time for the pre-landing meal, which is quite something. Having more cake and a massive sandwich seems like a bad idea, so I mainly enjoy the fruit. If you're curious, this is the regular pre-landing meal. I gotta say, it's so cool how Virgin manages to keep their own flair even on food that's catered at outstations. Before landing, I need to give a shout out to Lauren, Sam, Emily, and all the other lovely people who truly provided some of the best service I've ever had in business class. The crew manages to be attentive, professional, and glad to help, all while being chatty and so sweet. As the sun sets outside, they blast the vibey Virgin mood lighting, and my gosh, I'm actually so sad to leave. I cannot wait to fly Virgin Atlantic Upper Class again. It is the next morning. Let me quickly tell you about why this specific crew was so incredible. I can't wait for the next flight to see if it's the same. The crew on my flight happened to be very experienced. Some of them had been there for 2-3 decades, so maybe that's what contributed to making it so amazing. But I just have to thank Lauren, Sam, Jess, Emily, and everyone else. Literally everyone I interacted with was so sweet. So I just want to give a few examples of what made it so amazing. When they're taking meal orders, many of the crew would either kneel or they would sit down on the footstool opposite you, as you saw, where that's like a buddy seat. The crew would sit there and be like, "Hi love, what can I get you to drink with lunch? And would you like this or that option?" And then when it was time for dessert, most people they would call sir or miss. They would go, "Hi sir, can I tempt you with any dessert? Would you like some tiramisu, maybe some cheese, anything to drink?" I'm doing my British accent, which is okay because I was born and raised here. I know I do it terribly, but don't worry about that. They would also stand at the bar chatting with passengers. They just seemed genuinely so happy to be on board and take care of people. They passed through the cabin so many times, offering people drinks, making sure people were okay, taking people's trash. Among the best service I've truly ever had on a Western airline. I am so amazed and so happy with what these girls managed to do. And the most amazing thing is that they truly made it seem like they were so passionate about it. And Lauren, who's taking care of me, she actually does cabin crew training for Virgin Atlantic. She explained to me what they look for in crew, how selective it is. Over 8,000 applications for 150 spots in their latest round of hiring. That's just so cool, and it shows you maybe the caliber of the crew, at least on this flight. So I was like, I didn't even know it was possible to have every single crew member be this amazing on a Western airline. Last time I flew with Virgin Atlantic, I don't remember the service being as good. So let's head to my connection to see if the service continues to be as amazing. Fast forward to June 12th, I am so excited to fly Virgin Atlantic on their A350-1000 from London to New York. Well, go figure that flight gets cancelled on the morning of departure and I get rebooked on Delta. No luck there. Now it's September 18th. Shall we try again? Good morning from London, you guys. It's been a little longer than intended since the last flight. We'll get to that, but now let's head to the airport. Virgin Atlantic has a business class ground experience unlike any other airline in Europe, with a dedicated upper class entrance at Terminal 3. So we just pulled up at the upper class check-in wing, which is quite the experience already compared to flying from anywhere else at Heathrow. What a lovely check-in area. It looks just like the type of place you'd like to spend, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour. There's a fridge with drinks, a luggage scale, a massive A350 model. Everything is good until it isn't. Oh my god, you guys, I literally cannot believe this. So the reason it's been 7 months since the first flight, which was obviously not intentional, was that I was supposed to fly Virgin from London to New York 3.5 months ago, but that flight was cancelled on the morning of departure, so I ended up being rebooked on Delta, and I made a review of that flight. That was fine. I thought I'll fly Virgin again sometime soon. Sorry, distracted by a takeoff over here. British Airways A320neo. Anyway, so this is my second attempt, and this morning everything was fine. The flight was not cancelled. I thought, yes, it's gonna happen. I've been hyping OSKAR up for this flight so much. Then in the car here, I see our aircraft has been loaded into the system on Flight Radar, the actual registration. So I go to check on that aircraft as I would always do, to check the history of it and everything. And I see it only has 16 business class seats, and I think this cannot be the case. What's going on here? I know Virgin Atlantic has a fleet of high-density A350s with a lot fewer seats in business class, but surely that's not being sent to New York because our flight was sold out in business class. So we would go from having 11 rows to 4 rows. Surely this can't be happening, right? But oh yeah, it's happening, and I'm pretty sure, have been kicked off this flight.
Also, it's like the one time we're really early to the airport this happens. I'm actually really grateful that this is the one time this happens, because otherwise, who knows what would have happened.
On the bright side, we have a comfy place to await our fate. So this review took an interesting turn.
Whoa, you never know what to expect, do you?
Yeah, I'll let you know what happened, because we are going to the lounge, but yeah, it's not going to be a luxurious experience on board. This is something I wish every airport had, because we know airplane food can be so hit or miss. So being able to get a meal in a bottle, so you just know you're getting the protein, the nutrients, and everything else you need on a flight, just grabbing it as a backup is so awesome. So I think we're gonna grab two, especially now that we have no idea what to expect on board. Guess what? Today's video is actually sponsored by Huel. A year ago, I discovered Huel right here at Heathrow, and now it's my go-to for a meal on the go. For example, this bottle or this scoop of Huel Black contain 35 to 40 grams of protein, 8 grams of fiber and probiotics, along with 27 essential vitamins and minerals, all in a 400-calorie plant-based and gluten-free meal. The other reason I love it is that it's outrageously delicious. Banana-flavored Huel is now one of my favorite lunches because it has that really distinctive childhood banana flavor. If you buy a bag of Huel Black like this, you get 17 meals for $2.50 per meal. And if you use code NonstopDan, you'll get an additional 15% off, a free t-shirt, and a free shaker worth $40. To be honest, a few years back, I was hesitant to the idea of a meal in a bottle, but as soon as I tried Huel, I realized just how tasty, convenient, and satisfying it is. Plus, it takes the guesswork out of getting all the nutrients I need. Try it out at the link at the top of the description, or by scanning the QR code here, or by going to huel.com/nonstopdan. All right, we made it through security, which is super smooth and convenient. Obviously got some Huel, and now we're heading to the lounge, which will be interesting to see. I have no idea what's gonna happen with the meals on board. I'm genuinely quite curious if it will be a business class meal or a premium economy meal. Or any, oh my god, I haven't even told you what happened yet. Wait. I love to keep you guys in the loop, you know? Let's go enter the world famous Virgin Atlantic Clubhouse first, and then I'll give you all the deets. So this lounge would literally be perfect without any other people, like most places. It has the friendliest staff, the coolest design, and even though they've removed all the former amenities that used to make it iconic, like free haircuts and massages, this is still probably the best business class lounge in Europe. Why? Well, partly the food. Upon entering, there's an attended food bar with all types of premium looking items. I know this is already better than what most airlines in Europe offer, but wait, there is also a la carte dining. This is the breakfast menu. It's about as fun as breakfast gets, I would say. I'm a little confused why they don't introduce this far superior lunch menu until as late as noon, because wow, is this good. The drink list is equally impressive. Keep in mind that most of the world's best airlines don't even do a la carte dining in their business class lounges. Since we're here just before 12, we get to try things from both the breakfast and the lunch/dinner menus. For breakfast, I get these oatmeal pancakes that are legitimately amazing, and so is this grapefruit. While I wait for my lunch dish, I head to my favorite part of the lounge. It's so crazy. The lounge is so busy and packed, but no one is up here. This is by far the best place to be up here, or the best place to be in the whole lounge, of course. But I think most av geeks don't really know this even exists. There's not really signs for it downstairs. What a place. Okay, so what happened? It took about 45 minutes when we got to check-in for them to resolve the situation. The first check-in agent we got was not very, I think he was new or something because he didn't know what to do. But one of his colleagues finally helped out, and basically they gave us the option to downgrade. There were 2 seats left in premium economy. So they said you can choose these, but they were in 2 middle seats, so stuck between 2 strangers and in the middle of the cabin. I was like, So obviously since we downgraded or upgraded, or whatever you want to call it, to a high density aircraft, there's like 100 more economy class seats on this one than there are on the A350 we should have been on. So I was like, you know what, this tells me economy is going to be pretty empty. So I quickly went and checked the seat map. As I always do, I'm researching while they're talking, and I realized that there are so many empty seats in economy. So I asked them to give us the bulkhead row, the very first row of economy class, and block the middle seat, which they have done. So now at least we have a window, an aisle, but we both have direct aisle access technically since we're in the bulkhead. So I think this is a much better solution than ending up in premium economy, but oh boy, is this a disappointment. Like, we were so excited to finally fly Virgin in upper class after our previous attempt failed to do it together on the A350. Now it failed again. I just can't believe how unlucky you can be. So what did they give us for this downgrade, considering we've paid for upper class but ended up in premium economy? No, in economy. So not even that good, right? Basically, according to UK and EU law, they have to offer us a 75% refund, which to me is useless. And the thing is, I get a normal passenger who's just flying for leisure or even for business. Getting to the destination is the important part, so it doesn't really matter. Maybe you're happy with 75% back, but for me, since this is literally my job and I need to get this specific flight and I plan my whole month after getting one flight for a review, then it all messes up. It ends up being so much more destructive. So the other option they offered to everyone who got downgraded was what they call a Virgin Red Select ticket or pass, which they say is a round trip upper class ticket to any Virgin destination for free for each of us that can be used for anyone, which I'm like, that sounds amazing. And that's the way they said it. She said, any season, any flight you want, any ticket. I'm like, awesome. So we ended up thinking, we'll accept the downgrade instead of rebooking and making things really complicated, because there's no more flights today with seats in upper class anyways. So we would probably have to wait until tomorrow, and then we might not even get to sit together. So what's the point? But what I realized after accepting it is that what they said was any seat on any flight is actually only valid for award seats. So being able to book it will prove a bit of a challenge, I think, and it's really unfortunate that they have that restriction, because hello, they're the ones screwing us over. But I will say this is very generous compensation in my opinion, and every single staff member at Virgin Atlantic, just on my flight from Dubai to London, every member at check-in, at the lounge, has been just incredible. The most sympathetic, the most understanding, the most helpful they can be. So Virgin Atlantic, really their true best asset is their staff, because everyone at every step of the way has just been incredible. And that doesn't even account for their call center, which I would say is the best airline call center in the world. They have the most well-trained, knowledgeable staff, so kudos to Virgin for that. Now we're gonna head on board our economy class flight across the Atlantic. But hey, now you get to see a Virgin economy class review, so...
In other news, our flight is now delayed on top of all this.
So the good thing about being delayed an hour is that we get to try the lunch menu, which to me looks much more exciting than the breakfast menu, although our breakfast was incredible. I also got to order this vegan chorizo caramelized red onion pasta. I mean, how incredible does that sound? Okay, the moment of truth. Imagine they've loaded the upper class meals for us and then we have so much food. Very nice. So 3.5 months ago, when we were originally supposed to try flying Virgin, our flight was canceled on the morning of departure, so they offered to rebook us on anything, even British Airways. We opted to be rebooked on Delta, but even then, the service was so good. We were really impressed by how flexible they were with rebooking, very accommodating. When I wrote to request compensation for the cancellation, they answered within a day and approved that and all expenses. So again, customer service, great. I just feel like we have been so unlucky with these 2 attempts. I can't believe it, but you know, they say third time is the charm, so maybe that's what it's gonna take to be able to experience this together.
With that, we head to the bathroom. Talk about luxurious yet again, and also check out the merch store on the way out.
So we're heading to the gate now. As if that wasn't enough, our flight is also an hour delayed, but honestly, I think we were better off being able to stay in the lounge, power up our devices, eat some of the lunch, and just take it a bit easy, and now just hopefully have a chill, empty flight over to the other side of the Atlantic.
No, but it's the fact that Dan has really been hyping up Virgin Atlantic so much for me. Like, I was so excited for this flight. I was like, this is gonna be the best flight that we've had in years.
You'll still get to try it. Come on, it's great. Virgin Atlantic, the airline that couldn't.
Oh, well, it could. It just chose not to.
Oh my God. The fact that on top of all that, we also get a bus gate. For those of you who listen to the podcast on air, we famously joke about gate A10 at Terminal 5 all the time, which I seem to get every time I fly through there, but now I guess gate 24 at Terminal 3 is the new thing as well.
Our flight is looking to be really empty in economy, which is great news, but even so, the gate area is looking pretty busy.
Okay, we're just sitting here waiting at the gate for everyone to go on board so we can be on the last bus, because what's the hurry? And it's just so sad for the staff, because obviously there's 28 people who have been downgraded and everyone is going ballistic, getting so pissed at the staff. And I understand it, the staff is handling it so well, but I also understand the people going ballistic. I'm surprised how like calm and chill I am with this, but I guess I've just been cursed by Heathrow enough times that every time I fly through here, I know something will go wrong that I'm not surprised.
Whichever one of Dan's haters out there is trying to put this Heathrow curse on him / us, you're doing a great job. But yeah, we would appreciate if you could just play it off a little bit.
10 minutes of scenic Heathrow touring later, our breathtaking Virgin Atlantic A350-1000 is right there in front of us. This bird comes in 2 configurations on Virgin Atlantic. The one I was supposed to fly has 11 rows of business class spread between door 1 and 2 with premium economy behind door 2 and then economy behind that. There are 7 of those aircraft in their fleet at the time of making this video, and they are meant to serve premium markets like London to New York and LA. On the other hand, my configuration today has only 16 business class seats at the very front, while that configuration has 44 seats in upper class. The one I'm on today has only 16 seats. seats. These are located at the very front, making for a really intimate cabin for those lucky enough to be sitting there. Behind that lies one of the biggest premium economy cabins out there. And just like on their other A350s, this has 56 seats. Then we have economy class starting behind door 2 with exactly 100 more economy seats than on their premium A350 configuration. This aircraft is usually sent from everywhere in the UK to Orlando, as well as Heathrow to Delhi. It almost never goes to New York, well, except today. When the aircraft changed, obviously no one had selected these forward seats because there was supposed to be premium economy here. So when we get downgraded, at least the bulkhead seats 46 Alpha and 46 Charlie are available. In terms of economy, we're as lucky as we can get by being able to snag those seats. There are a lot of lavatories around our seats that are shared with premium economy. 5 lavatories up here to be exact, 4 further back, and 1 more at the very rear, meaning we have a total of 10 lavatories shared by 381 passengers for a lavatory ratio of 1 to 38. So let's go experience Virgin Atlantic economy from London to New York, shall we? We're pretty much the last ones on board, so as you can see, this is a very empty flight. There's no way I would have accepted the downgrade to start with if it hadn't been this empty, so that's something to be grateful for. For people who ask why I don't review economy class more often, try getting good shots of the cabin and see how comfortable you feel with 200 people staring at you in bewilderment or judgment. Again, this is why I never really opt for the first row in any cabin, because everyone will be staring at me, but today it's worth the sacrifice for more comfort. For takeoff, I head back to row 39, which is empty and makes me so grateful to be in the bulkhead. The legroom back here sucks, I'm gonna be honest. If you're shorter than me at 6'2", almost 190 centimeters, I'm sure you could be quite comfortable though because the recline is great. The seat has many of the smart features I like to see in modern economy class products, like compact tray tables and sectioned seatback pockets. You also get some standard economy class headphones, a pillow, and a blanket at your seat. It's much more appealing looking outside at our gorgeous A350 wing, so let's do that instead. This winglet is shining like there's no tomorrow. An hour behind schedule, we push back and head toward runway 9 right for takeoff. What a monster the wing looks like from back here. I rush back to row 46, which now feels like an oasis of space and comfort compared to back in row 59. Okay, welcome on board. Not quite where we expected to be today, but honestly, this bulkhead row is amazing. It feels so spacious. They blocked off the middle seat for us, although the flight is very empty, so I doubt it would have been filled anyway, but it's really, really comfortable. I don't mind it. Back there where I was sitting for takeoff, definitely a lot less leg room and a lot less preferable to this. So as far as downgrades go, I mean, it's not too bad. And we get to experience the Virgin Atlantic economy class hospitality, which I have to say, I haven't flown economy class on a transatlantic flight for 7 years, which I feel so lucky to even say. But this really is a wake-up call in terms of what the state of transatlantic economy class is, because I do economy class comparisons between Etihad, Emirates, and Qatar Airways, which obviously are in an entirely different caliber from this. Those are the economy classes I've flown in the past few years, also Turkish. So now I'm like, oh, you don't get a water bottle at your seat? Oh, you don't get a little amenity kit kind of thing? But honestly, it's no big deal. Apparently, I've also forgotten how fast meals can be served in economy, because 30 minutes after takeoff, we have some corn crackers and the most generous pour of water ever. 5 minutes after that, one of us has served our special meal, which they've managed to transfer to economy, which is pretty good. I'd say this is solid, possibly even a little above average. It all tastes good and is relatively healthy, so no complaints. So we only ever got one of those meals, and it's been about 25 minutes, but after a while, one of the staff members came and said, hey, you didn't get your meal yet? And we said, no, we only got one. So she left for another minute, and then she said, oh, so we have one vegan meal left in upper class, a panko crusted tofu with satay sauce, which I was like, this sounds insane. Yeah, so they're giving us that, which is really nice. I couldn't decipher if they would have given it to us if we hadn't been downgraded. I feel like that was a bit
Unclear.
Yeah, a bit unclear, but
It's also unclear like why one of our meals were loaded but not the other one in economy.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
an hour later, the lovely crew finally serves this dish. Okay, now we're talking. This is very tasty. Also, I feel so wild for assuming this because, as I said, I've just been flying like Emirates, Qatar Airways, Etihad, Turkish kind of economy classes in the past years, many years. So I was just like, of course I'm going to be able to charge my computer on board. Like, that's a must in 2024. But then I realized, oh my God, there are no power ports, and there's not USB-C ports either on this new aircraft. So like, there's no way to charge your laptop unless you bring an old-fashioned USB-C to USB-A cable, which I doubt many people do that. But anyway, that's probably the biggest bummer of this downgrade of all, because we also end up losing productivity because my MacBook battery sucks. But luckily I have this hefty power bank from previous sponsor Anchor to help me out. I spent the rest of the flight working extremely productively because there's literally nothing else to do. About halfway to New York, we're treated to popsicles, which is a great help in distracting us from the remaining flight time, which feels like it is taking forever to tick down. It feels like time is passing slower than I talk, and that is slow. As if I haven't praised Virgin Atlantic staff enough, they continuously keep the laboratories clean throughout the flight. This is what they look like after 5 hours. On a US carrier, it would look like the trash can exploded at this point. Outside the laboratories, we have the galley, which contains a small selection of snacks. Again, a nice touch you won't find in economy class on many airlines. About an hour and a half from New York, everyone is served an afternoon tea box, but not us. For whatever reason, the crew give us these gorgeous gyoza platters from upper class, which are met by some funny stares from other passengers. I mean, I get it. These gyoza are the single most delicious thing served on this flight, and one of the most delicious things I've eaten in flight all year. What a treat, seriously. As we approach New York, we get some great seaside views of Long Island and even the Jersey Shore. I'm almost ready to get my GTL on.
If you're not a Guido, then you can get the out of my face.
As we land, I reflect on these Virgin Atlantic experiences. Overall, I've got to say they handled 2 less than ideal situations as well as you could hope any airline would. Do I have trust issues flying Virgin Atlantic now? Absolutely. Who wouldn't? But that also doesn't mean that I'd avoid them. Let's hope the third time really is the charm, huh? Now, this airline has one thing in particular it does incredibly well. Somehow, it seems like pretty much every single person they hire is absolutely lovely and make the airline feel so welcoming and friendly. I really cannot say enough good things about everyone, from their world-leading call center agents to the lounge staff to the crew. By the way, I feel like this is as good an example as any to prove that I get literally no special treatment from airlines at all. If Virgin Atlantic wanted to give me some special treatment, I can think of a few better ways to do it. So we made it to New York. Honestly, the flight was not bad at all. I wouldn't say I would gladly jump on Virgin Atlantic economy again, but in that seat, if I had to redo this experience, sure, why not? So now that we landed, Virgin Atlantic proactively emailed us to offer us the vouchers they promised, but there was also an offer in there to get 100,000 points per person instead. So I'm kind of debating what to do, because 100,000 points is obviously not worth as much as a free round-trip ticket, but since it's subject to award availability, I'm a bit like, because 100,000 points I could use on any airline that Virgin partners with. So I don't know, I am a bit torn about what to choose, but I'm glad they offer different forms of compensation. You guys let me know what you choose in the comments below. And yeah, what a day, what a day. So that's it for my Virgin Atlantic experience on this channel for now. I just want to talk a little more about that compensation that was offered, specifically about the value of everything, because when I shared this, that I was getting a free round trip upper class flight, people were like, that's amazing compensation. And I agree that in one way it's generous. But if you think about it like this, I'm getting 2 one-way tickets, a round trip. I've already paid for one-way business class ticket, this ticket from London to New York, and I don't get a discount for that. I don't get a refund or anything if I choose that option. So technically, what I'm getting instead is a one-way business class ticket and a one-way economy class ticket for free, which is what I was taking now. I redeemed that economy ticket, you could view it as. Now I'll get to take the business class ticket that I actually paid for and one additional flight. So to me, with all the terms and conditions as well, that there has to be a ward space, I have to book a round trip. Also, the flights have to be to or from London, so it's not like I can maximize it and go India to London to LA and fly for 24 hours each way. That is not an option with this voucher. So there's so many small specifics that make me not as amazed by it, but still, I appreciate that Virgin gives so many different options. And at the end of the day, it's just a downgrade. We got to our destination as intended. I paid $1,300 for my one-way business class ticket, which compares very favorably to the cash price. So the cash price on this route is normally around $10,000 one way. There's also something we quickly have to talk about. I know it's kind of out of place in this video, but we're flying to New York. I'm 50% New Yorker. What is going on with New York's mayor, Eric Adams? You might have seen in the news, or you might not, that there are corruption charges against him, and those largely center around travel benefits. So he was taking free upgrades for many years from Turkish Airlines, but he was paying cash for his tickets in economy class, where he was asking the airline to make up an economy class price for him so it would look like he was paying, and then he'd just accept the free upgrades. So he'd be paying about $1,000 to $2,000 round trip from New York to wherever he was going to get Turkish Airlines business, but that's the prices he'd be paying in economy. And the painful irony of all this that I cannot believe is that if you're going to pay $1,000 to $2,000 for a transatlantic business class flight, what are you doing getting corruption involved? You could literally do this in so many ways. Either if he signed up for credit cards in the US, he's obviously a US citizen, he could get those points for almost free and then redeem for flights. Or he could have just DM'd me. It would have been an honor to be a travel arranger for the mayor of New York City. Why? Because I can get him from New York to most of Europe for less than $1,000 in a fully legal, legitimate way. In business class, he doesn't have to beg for an upgrade. I could literally get him in Turkish business to France, like he took on one of his corrupt trips, for about $1,000 or less in business class, or on even better airlines. So for him to be doing this, I'm just like, wow, this is crazy. He should have joined my Points Master program like so many of you guys have done at this point, because there you can teach yourself how to book business class tickets for a fraction of the price, so you didn't need to go asking for weird upgrades at inappropriate times or corrupting your morals. This is the way my reviews can always remain entirely unbiased, honest, and real, because I know how to self-fund all my flights, so I can afford to review every product I want to review on my own dime. These examples of Virgin Atlantic and Turkish Airlines are just a few examples of thousands of different flights and itineraries you could take on over 70 airlines, including many of the world's best like Singapore Airlines, Qatar Airways, Turkish Airlines, so many more, that you'll learn to book for a fraction of the price, 80 to 90% off sometimes, and even in less ideal cases, a lot of the time you'll be saving 30 or 50% on the cash price of business class. If we're talking about first class, forget about it. With most airlines, you'll be saving 80 to 90% on those tickets by using the tricks I teach you in Points Master. And you can do it anywhere you live, anywhere in the world. You don't need to be a US citizen to learn this. You can also complete Points Master anywhere you want at any time. You'll get lifetime access to it. So consider doing what New York's mayor should have done and join Points Master today at the QR code right here or at the link in the description. I also want to remind you about today's video sponsor, Huel, genuinely a brand I love so much and I'm a huge fan of, so I couldn't be happier they are sponsoring this video. I love their products, and if you haven't tried them, I highly recommend checking them out for a nutritious, tasty, and affordable meal. You can do that at the top link in the description as well. So on that note, thank you so much for watching this video. I cannot wait to see you in the next one, and until then, fly safe.